Welcome to Educon. My name is Imam. Today, and we before in earlier video we learn about the scientist, two scientists who is associated with the structural biology. Okay. Now we'll be learning about the cell, the unit of life. Okay. This is chapter 8 from unit number 3. Okay. Here in this page, okay, coming to the class, when you look around, you see both living and non-living things. Yes, for example, we are sitting right now. I am sitting and teaching you. So what I found beside me is I found some table, chair, which is non-living things. It doesn't have any kind of life. The living things is myself, okay, and the plants surrounding me, and the animals which I see on the roads or streets. So all these are living. So you must have wondered and asked yourself, what is it that makes an organism, or what is it that an inanimate means it doesn't have any kind of life, okay, it doesn't perform any kind of function. It will be there. For example, if we keep a pen for a long time, it will stay as it is, so it will not grow or it will not become short. So these are the inanimate things. It does not have things that does not have which a living thing has. Living thing means they perform growth, they perform certain functions, okay, and during the period of time they will grow and they die. Okay, so when you look around, you see both living and non-living things. You must have wondered and asked yourself, what is it that makes an organism living, or what is it that an inanimate thing does not have which a living thing has? So we know what is the living and the non-living. The answer to this is the presence of basic unit of life, the cell in all organisms. Okay, so cells are present in all living organisms, whereas the non-living thing, they doesn't have any kind of cell. Coming to next sentence, all organisms are composed of cells. Remember this, all organisms, okay, all living organisms which perform certain functions, they are composed of cells. Some are composed of single cell and are called unicellular organisms. Okay? Some organisms, they are composed of only one cell, such as bacteria. Okay, so they are called unicellular organisms, while others like us means like us humans, composed of many cells, are called multicellular organisms. So now what we learned, we saw the difference between the living and non-living things. Okay, and what is the difference between the living and non-living things, like the presence of cells in all living organisms, which is absent completely in non-living things or inanimate things. Okay, and also organisms may be composed of single cell, which are also called unicellular or single cellular organisms, while others like animals, plants, like us humans, okay, they are composed of many cells, are called multicellular organisms. So coming to the other section, what is a cell? Okay, unicellular organisms are capable of independent existence and also performing the essential functions of life. Independent existence means they need to evolve, okay, they need to create the new organisms. So by that process, they keep their existence continuously. So unicellular organisms, if they are called unicellular organisms, they must be capable of independent existence and performing the essential functions of life. We'll discuss all these functions in this chapter slowly. Anyhow, we'll take a brief note about what are the essential functions. Like we take a birth and we take our food and we grow, and there is a lot of other functions which involves in our body at cellular level. Okay, and during certain, after 80 years or 50 years or 100 years, we will die, leaving our mark here. So we'll be having our own children and their children. This is the process. So here, same like in unicellular organism, to be called as or capable of independent existence and performing the essential functions of life. Anything that less than a complete structure of cell does not ensure independent living. Yes, anything less than that, it doesn't give the definition of the living. Hence, cell is the fundamental structural and functional unit of all living organism. So here cell is the fundamental, so it is the basic, okay, basic form of all living organisms. Coming to next sentence, we have the scientist Anton von Leeuwenhoek, okay, first saw and described a live cell. Remember this. There is another scientist who discovered cell. Okay, his name is Robert Hooke. That is different. Okay. Now here it is mentioned live cell. Anton von Leeuwenhoek first saw and described a live cell. Okay, it may be a straight question. Okay, remember that. Later on, Robert Brown discovered the nucleus. So, who discovered the live cell? Anton von Leeuwenhoek, and Robert Brown later discovered the nucleus. The invention of the microscope and its improvements leading to the electron microscope revealed all the structural details of the cell. In earlier days, around 100 or 200 years, we have a simple microscope where we can see beyond the cell membrane or cell wall. So as the time goes by, the recent inventions in microscopy, and which lead to the invention of electron microscope, which helps us to see all the structural details of a cell. So after the invention of the electron microscope, we are able to learn all the details about the cell structure. Okay, so we have finished 8.1 one section, what is a cell. So till now what we learned, we saw the difference between living and non-living things. What are the living things they are composed of? Basic unit of cell, life, that is cell. Okay, some are unicellular and some are multicellular organisms. And what is a cell? Okay, unicellular organisms are capable of independent existence and performing essential functions of life. Okay, and cells are the fundamental structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Okay, then we have scientist name, two scientist names here. Anton von Leeuwenhoek, who described a live cell, is the first person. Okay, Robert Brown, who discovered nucleus. Okay, the invention of microscope means electron microscopy will help us to see all the structural details of the cell. Now coming to 8.2 section, cell theory. Here in 1838, sorry, Matthias Schleiden, a German botanist, examined a large number of plants and observed that all plants are composed of different kinds of cells which form the tissues of the plant. So here, and there is a question from this section that I will explain you in detail. In 1838, Matthias Schleiden, he is a botanist. Remember, he is a German botanist. Botanist means the person who works on plants. Examined a large number of plants and observed that all plants are composed of different kinds of cells which form the tissue of the plant. What are the tissues of the plant? Leaves, stems, okay, flower, buds, fruit, all these are the tissues of the plant. So he studied on different number of plants and found that they are all composed of different kinds of cells, okay, in the plants. So he is a botanist and he studied on the plants. During at the same time, okay, here during the same time, Theodor Schwann, in 1839, he is a British zoologist, studied different types of cells and reported that cells had a thin outer layer which is today known as the plasma membrane. So Theodor Schwann in 1839, a British zoologist, he studied on different animal cells and reported that cells had a thin outer layer which is today known as plasma membrane. Because why we call it plasma, because at that time they don't have a microscopic method to study in detail what is that outer layer. So after the invention of electron microscope, we come to know that there is a plasma membrane around the cell. Okay, and he also concluded, Theodor Schwann, based on his studies, on plants and tissue, plant tissue, and that the presence of cell wall is a unique character of the plant cells. Okay, remember this. Based on his studies, okay, he studied on plants also. Okay, who is that? He is the Schleiden. He is a botanist. Swan is a geologist. Okay, but Swan, he studied on the plant and found there is a unique layer on the plant cell which is called as cell wall. On the basis of this, Swan proposed the hypothesis that bodies of animals and plants are composed of cells and product of cells. Okay, on which basis? By the presence of cell wall and in the plant cells. So Schwann proposed, that is Theodor Schwann proposed the hypothesis that the bodies of animals and plants are composed of cells and product of cells. Later what happened? These two, Schleiden and Schwann, together formulated a cell theory. Okay, first they formulated a cell theory together because he is a botanist and he is a geologist. They both need their independent experience to solve this cell theory. So Schleiden and Schwann together formulated the cell theory. This theory, however, did not explain how new cells are formed. Remember this point. Okay, which okay, we will be having a question that I will tell you later. So Schleiden and Schwann together formulated the cell theory, but the theory doesn't explain how the new cells are being formed. Again in 1855, another scientist, Rudolf Virchow, first explained that new cells are formed from pre-existing cells. So in 1839 Schwann and 1838 Schleiden. Okay, they both work on different plants and animals and found that they are composed of cells. Okay, but they don't know how the new cells are being formed. They couldn't explain because they formulated a cell theory. Who Schleiden and Schwann together formulated a cell theory, but it doesn't give and it doesn't explain how the new cells are formed. So here the another person, his name is Rudolf Virchow, in 1855. First explained that cells divide and new cells are formed from pre-existing cells. Okay, so omnis cellula e cellula. Okay, so it is cells are formed from the old cell. He modified the hypothesis of Schleiden and Schwann, giving the cell theory its theory a final shape. So already who formulated the cell theory? Schleiden and Schwann, but which doesn't explain the news how the new cells are being formed. So Rudolf Virchow in 1855 explained that new cells, they divide and the cells divide and the new cells are formed from the pre-existing cells. So, and remember this line also, omnis cellula e cellula. He modified the hypothesis of Schleiden and Schwann to give the cell theory a final shape. And how we understand the cell theory? We understood by that all living organisms are composed of cells and product of cell. Then all cells arise from pre-existing cells. Okay, so cell, what is the two basic important rule of the cell theory? That all living organisms are composed of cells and also product of cells, and all cells arise from the pre-existing cell. Now we'll take an overview of a cell in next video. So here what kind of questions will be expected from this three paragraphs. So here, okay, now see Matthias Schleiden. There was a question in NEET. Okay, direct question. Okay, who proposed a hypothesis that the bodies of animals and plants are composed of cells and product of cells? First proposed. So the answer is, the options will be not based on the names. Remember this. The options are like geologist, botanist, psychologist, some other. So here the answer is geologist, because Schwann is the geologist, the British geologist. Theodor Schwann is the British geologist. So he first proposed the hypothesis that the bodies of animals and plants are composed of cells and product of cells. Remember this. Okay, it came in the NEET before. Okay, then which of the following is not explained by Schlieder and Schwann cell theory? He couldn't explain what he couldn't explain, how the new cells are formed. Okay, so that is also another question. And who named the scientist, okay, who first explained cell divided and formed from the cell divided, new cells are formed from the pre-existing cells. His name is Rudolf Virchow. So here we might be expecting, these are the easy questions, but the above one is the little harder one, which I said geologist, botanist, psychologist like this. Okay, it came in NEET in around couple of years back. Okay, so according to cell theory, as understood today, is all living organisms are composed of cells and product of cells. All cells arise from existing cells. Okay, with this we conclude this section, and we'll go into an overview of cell, which is 8.3, and it is page number in the NCERT 126. After listening to this video, kindly go through your NCERT books again and again, so it will make a proper revision and prepare you for your NEET exam. Okay, thank you.